Peace, man. Peace. You know the spill. It's your man, Yang and Kruma. All powers to oppressed people. African power to an African people and black power. Coming to you again today. I appreciate everyone who is falling in and gonna check me out to share with us and everything. Listen, today I have the privilege. I was going through some of my things, and actually where it started from was a comrade. A comrade and I were speaking, and she was telling me about her classes in political education. She's the chair of a party, and she was telling me about some of the things they were studying. And she mentioned the Revolutionary Action Movement. She said, we're on Max Stranford, now known as Dr. Ahmad Muhammad, found in one of the profound leaders of the Revolutionary Action Movement. And I was, I was like, wow, it caught me because this was one of my personal mentors in Cleveland. And he and amongst other mentors of mine, Brother Donald Freeman, who is absolutely brilliant, just like Dr. Muhammad. Uh, I was honored. Sometimes you really don't appreciate or really know the type of people you're around or the type of people you're blessed, fortunate enough to have in your life and come and just share gems with you, jewels. And I'm one of those rare people who not only had the privilege of being up under his tutelage to get because like if anyone has heard me speak, they know I'm a person who believes in discipline. I believe in the whole disciple theory. I believe that to be a good student, there is a manner or a characteristic to it. Though YouTube provides a plethora of information, I mean, we can get bombarded by anything we want to know. It doesn't teach us the character or the manner in which a student should conduct or behave themselves. And I honestly believe this is one of the reasons, or this contributes to a lot of the foolish and mayhem that happens when we come on YouTube or on these panels. Peace, African goddess. So with that being said, I think few people who know me know who my father is. For those who don't, I'll give a brief introduction to him. My father is Chairman Abdul Kahar, formerly known as Benjamin Simmons of the Louisville Seven Black Panther Party. Seven brothers framed for robbing the Kentucky Derby, our Larry's tourist attraction, and the Kentucky Derby. So needless to say, I've had, and you should see the quotes, I'm doing the air quotes, uncles. A lot of my father has a lot of comrades. I've been blessed to be around a lot of people, and that had just been a part of my lifestyle. So my father has tons of works. I don't know if any of these works are digitized where you can find them on the computer and you can pull them up. But in my possession now, I happen to have some of the writings of Dr. Ahmad Muhammad, formerly known as Max Stranford. And I said, you know what? Let's go back to the old school. Let's go back to the way we used to do things. I'm going to read some of his works. Feel free to jump in the chat if you want to jump on the panel and contribute to some of it. Also, feel free to do that. Let me throw that link out there. And let's get us a build going. This is the theoretical underpinnings of Black liberation from the works of Dr. Ahmad Muhammad, formerly known as Black Max Stranford. In 1969, the English settlers brought African captives to Jamestown, Virginia, and enslaved them in the English colonies. Chattel slavery was not new. Its beginning goes back as early as 1442. But what made the English experience different was the extent to which racism or race distinction became so profoundly institutionalized within the North America superstructure, i.e., religion, education, government, philosophy, arts, and culture. And its base, the economic centered around profit extracted from slave labor. By 1776, the new North American Republic, known as the United States, was firmly grounded on racism and slavery. By 1865, slavery had become outlawed in the United States, But it was not until 1965, 100 years later, after massive civil disobedience on the part of millions of Americans, that African Americans' political rights in all sections of the nation were guaranteed. Furthermore, from 1965 to 1985, the median income gap between Anglo Americans and African Americans widened, showing that while political apartheid, segregation, was abolished in the South, hidden economic apartheid, racism at the point of production, actually increased and became institutionalized as a formal solution for the Anglo American capitalist to resolve the class contradictions between it and the multinational working class. Let me take a brief pause because let me get some water because we're going to do a read. The African American National Liberation Movement, aka Black Liberation Movement, BLM. Huh? Can you put it together? See, to me, there's no coincidence that Black Lives Matter, those initials, are the same as Black Liberation Movement, which is the Black African in America or the African American National Liberation Movement. BLM is a nationalist. Black Liberation Movement is a nationalist construct. But when I talk about the appropriation, remember when I talked about the appropriation of these integrationists and these assimilationists using our rhetoric, using our imagery and our symbols, using the nationalists or the those who believe in the national liberation struggle or the Black liberation movement, how our freedom struggle, our liberation struggle is co-opted, the things from it are co-opted. Just throwing it out there. The African American National Liberation Movement, aka Black Liberation Movement, BLM, had its early beginnings in the 1700s, culminating during its high point, a massive resistance movement against domestic oppression in the 1960s. What most writers, leaders, and organizers have failed to provide is a theoretical framework, a paradigm, which could be used as a guide to coming generations. Each preceding generation of activists, 1970s to present, has to grope in the ideological dark and is doomed to repeat the same mistakes. Peace, King Shinar. There is historical discontinuity within the BLM, Black Liberation Movement. The purpose of this essay is to attempt to provide theoretical underpinnings for a dialectical and a historical materialist application of the principles of scientific socialism to the Black Liberation Movement. The dialectical and historical materialism method is one whereby the researcher approaches the subject matter as a material phenomenon that is constantly changing and is subject to economic, political laws governing human society. To further explain the dialectical method, it is essentially a method that holds no phenomena in nature can fully understood or explained. No phenomena in nature can be fully understood or explained taken by itself, isolated from surrounding phenomena, A phenomenon must be considered in connection with and in relationship to its surrounding conditions, and to which it is inseparably connected. No historical force is considered a separate entity, but considered a interconnected force which affects and is affected by other phenomena in the world system. An historical materialist point of view is essentially the extension of the principles of dialectical materialism to the phenomena of the life of society and its history. In presenting the framework of the theoretical underpinnings of historical and dialectical materialism, analysts of the BLM, remember again, Black Liberation Movement. Remember, I made the correlation of how liberation movement is always being hijacked by the integrationists, the assimilist, the Black Lives Matter, but BLM from the 1700s has always been the Black Liberation Movement. Son, I put the link up, my guy, if you want to jump on. And to go back for those who didn't hear, I'm reading from one of the founders and profound leaders of the Revolutionary Action Movement, Dr. Ahmad Muhammad, formerly known as Max Stranford. I believe in putting this information out here and giving it, and when we begin to provide this information, especially for us nationalists going out here, arming ourselves against the attacks. In presenting the framework of theoretical underpinnings of historical and dialectical materialism, analysts of the BLM, it is best to investigate the meaning of the perspective. According to Webster's New World Dictionary, the words theoretical, theory, and ideology are defined as follows. Theoretical, of, or constituting theory. 2. Limited to, or based on theory, not practical or applied. Theory. 1. Originally a mental viewing, contemplation. 2. A speculative idea or plan as to how something might be done. 3. A systematic statement of principle involved, the theory of equations in mathematics. 4. A formulation of apparent relationships, underlying principles of certain observed phenomena, which have been verified to some degree. 5. That branch of an art or science consisting in a knowledge of its principles and methods rather than in its practice, pure as opposed to applied science, i.e., popularity or mere conjecture or guess. Ideology. 1. The study of ideas, their nature and source. 2. Thinking or theorizing of an idealistic, abstract, or impractical nature. Fanciful, speculation. 3. The doctrine, opinions, or way of thinking of an individual, class, specifically the body of ideas on one which a particular political, economic, or social system is based. Revolutionary Black political theory extracts the principal motivating factors in the Black liberation movement to serve as a guide to concrete action. Revolutionary Black political theory is the intellectual or spiritual manifestation of the mental form, mass movement of the people. Revolutionary Black political theory believes people, the masses, are the makers of history. Simply stated, people make the world go round. Revolutionary Black political theory believes that since the beginning of recorded time, there has been class struggle, the struggle between the oppressed and the oppressor. And in the 500 years since 1442, there has also been race struggle, usually between a ruling class of one race against the oppressed class of another race. Combined in today's world, the analysis provides a race and class synthesis. 1. As a revolutionary Black political theory guides and actions, it should provide 4 things. 1. A presentation of the situation in descriptive terms, concentrating on the material laws of social development. Two, an explanatory presentation of the interrelationship of social forces, how it works. Three, a perspective analysis of the problem, solutions, how to solve the problem. Four, an evaluative process involving critical analysis to investigate various options of methods on dealing with the situation. Revolutionary political theory should define: one, what you are fighting. Why do you fight? Two, whom you are fighting, and who are your friends, and who are your enemies. Three, how and why you will win. A person must have the following in order to draw an accurate analysis of African Americans. One, through knowledge and understanding of African American, a thorough knowledge and understanding of African American history. Two, general knowledge and understanding of Anglo-Saxon and world history. Get my man up here. Peace,
Oh,
son.
what up, Angle? What's going on? Can you hear me good?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just wanted to jump on here for an hour or so, spit,
Okay.
just post some, let them know we have theorists. And I run across one of my books. I know it may be heavy for some people, but it's just something to put out there to counter the bullshit that's been masqueraded as or paraded as some real type of black
Yeah.
liberation theory. What's going on with you?
No, that's right on time, brother. That's right on time. Like you said, with the initials BLM, yeah, Black Liberation Movement, and don't forget the Black Liberation Army either. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Shoot.
yeah. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
So,
we gotta. Yeah, I'm glad that you're showing this because yeah, people will get lost in the sauce.
man, all day. All
You
day.
know.
Like I said, it may be a little heavy for the people, but we put it out there. I think that we'll have people come back, revisit it,
Yeah.
check it out at their own time. You know. Um. Yeah. So I probably hit a few more pages, man, and then shoot, we can crank up a discussion. If you hear anything that strikes a chord, jump in there, bro,
Oh,
and we can break
most
it down
definitely.
now.
Most definitely. I'm with it. I'm with it, man. Because yeah, it's like you said, a lot of these movements have been around. So, like yesterday, black nationalism has been around and had torchbearers, and so yeah, um,
Okay.
it's
Like my man is saying here, like Dr. Muhammad said, he said the Black Liberation Movement, actually Black nationalism, he calls it the African American Nationalist Movement uh,
mhm,
in the 1700s.
yeah, absolutely,
You know
brother.
what I'm saying? We've been discussing. There have been Black nationalists discussing our problem as a people here in America as early as the 1700s. This is nothing new. Unfortunately, it's new to them. I
Yeah,
think that
yeah, to
that's
them, yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
I think that's what tickles me. They're just being introduced to something. And then the way they're being introduced to it is so mainstream. And
It is,
the
it is, yeah.
audaciousness, man, the big headedness of these Negroes to think that they come back and be master teachers on some shit they're not even scraping the tip of the iceberg on.
No, no, that they don't, no, they don't even know, brother. And that's why I like how hell, like you showed the initials. I totally forgot about the initials. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, I
Yeah.
remember Black Liberation Army right after the Panthers. And
Okay.
it just yeah.
It was a whole different, right, just a whole different. So what happens is they bury that, the Black Liberation Army, the whole movement that we were calling the BLM, the Black
Yeah,
Liberation Movement. They bury that history, and what we had all talked about earlier, they begin to co-opt it. They take our how they co-opt it and misdirect us is they take our initials, they take our what they call rhetoric, they take our
yeah,
speech, they take our
yeah,
slogans, they pump the black fist, they appear to seem very angry. You know what I'm saying? And all those things on the surface level look very revolutionary. They're very
right.
reminiscent of the images we see of the 60s and the 70s.
Absolutely, brother.
But that's all it is just surface.
Absolutely,
You know what
that's a
I'm
fact.
saying? It's very
Hmm.
surface.
Right.
And when you get that superficial, when the movement is that superficial, what it does is it allows two things. One, it does allow for people to criticize and critique it, and to show how shallow it is. You know what I'm saying? And it sets up an opportunity for these black haters who
Yeah,
appear to
absolutely.
look like us come in and critique it, because it's not really what they're not critiquing what they think they're critiquing. It's funny how they
Right.
think they're going after the black
Oh, we
nationalists or the
yeah, we've been called black Nazis. I was like, really? Seriously? Now, mind you, can't tell me what type of policies that Hitler had, but gonna call us Nazis. So okay, yeah, all
I
right.
love it. Did we
Yeah,
are you serious? Did we earn a little nickname on these YouTube
I am
streets?
serious. Yeah, yeah, we've been called black Nazis. Yeah.
Hey man, that means we making leeway. When they give you a little nickname, that means you got a crew. And them
Uh,
black Nazis over there. Did they call what how did they say it? You know, I'm
oh
egotistical. I like to hear it. I like that. Them black
yeah,
Nazis. Black
yeah,
Nazis.
yeah. I mean,
Damn.
we've been called black Nazis. Yeah, yeah, we've been called
Well,
black Nazis, brother.
I mean, damn. Can I guess I gotta share with them a shocking truth. Uh though I'm
Yeah, go
not
on, brother.
Hitler, it is not too far because they say the Nazi party was the Nationalist Socialist Party of Germany. so
Yeah, but didn't
so they
okay, but didn't he push back against that at some point, or
uh
no?
Hitler,
Because I know,
I think at some point, and you a little that's a little more your forte.
right,
You
right.
would have to tell me. But I think at some point they may have. He may have
Yeah,
pushed
because
away from it. But I know at
yeah, they
one
pushed
point,
away, and that's early. Yeah, that was early. They pushed away because yeah, they
okay.
were and that's and that involves the whole thing with Stalin and Hitler's partnership. You know what I'm saying? Because Hitler looked at it as I don't know. He was looking at it. He looked at it, but then I think he pushed back for some reason. Um, because the real socialist national that was Stalin's regime.
Well, I mean,
So
Stalin was Marxist Leninist. Stalin
right,
was
okay,
more communist. You know,
right, right, absolutely,
you see where Hitler. I can see the nationalist fervor. Hitler was a fanatic. Hitler was a what you would I would probably consider classical nationalist, a neo nationalist. You
right,
can
right,
see the German nationalism driving Hitler, or him
right, right,
using that
absolutely,
as a force to inspire his people. The Germans,
right,
the Germans,
absolutely,
the Germans, the Germans, the Germans. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right,
So you see that as a force that he used. Now I would have to study his economic plan
yeah, yeah, yeah,
to know if he's still head to any socialist thing. Um, but I think I think Stalin's socialism was a socialism that evolved to communism.
right, absolutely,
Stalin them with a communist party. So I think that
got you,
and when the crazy thing is, it's the matter of a twink here or a twerk there.
right,
In a lot
absolutely,
of
absolutely,
in a lot like some socialists don't evolve to communism.
right, right,
They stop and they go off in another form of socialism.
right,
You know what I'm saying? That in itself is a theory. Marx came up with this theory. Marx and Engels,
right,
Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels came up with this theory. Lenin took it to revolution. I think that socialism evolved to a communism, which eventually became the United Soviet Socialist Republic, became Russia, and all their
right.
satellites. Uh, but then you see, I don't know. It's a history lesson.
Well, like
And then
you
you
said, yeah, everybody's racist. It's a race for power. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely,
So yeah, all that
absolutely.
shit about yeah, yeah. I mean, you must be. If a black person says that, then they must be want to be a bottom feeder. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And that's why I push back against Christianity because Christianity teaches you how to be a bottom feeder. Turn the other cheek. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. There's a lot of slick terms that the Bible teaches, and it's
Hmm.
funny how one. instance, they say, oh, they outlawed the Bible. The next thing you know, oh, everybody come to church. All the niggers, y'all can come to church now. Y'all can read the Bible. We accept you. So
Hmm.
yeah, no,
Hmm.
it teaches you, yeah, teach you how to be a bottom feeder. So yeah,
Yeah,
so of
absolutely.
course, yeah, anybody who, and that's why I said, the whole religion and nationalism doesn't work because nationalists, we don't look to be bottom feeders.
Yeah, yeah. The
So
whole thing of
I just,
nationalism,
yeah,
yeah, is like you said, it's self determination. I would say that, like you said, religion being the guiding force and your nationalism being secondary will never work. If we try to unify on religion, I mean, history shows that doesn't work.
absolutely.
It has never been the unification of all people on it, only the division and wars fought
Right.
behind them. Now, why but me being a spiritualist, I do believe if you have your little thing, uh, your spiritual system, your religion, whatever you may be calling your particular thing, if it acts as your moral and ethical compass, yeah, then better for you. The unfortunate reality with most black people, especially from us suffering some identity crisis, is that our religion just can't be an aspect of our existence. We get consumed out. It becomes us. When you
Yeah,
ask
but
any
even you
people in the
said,
world, you asking, huh?
yeah, but even you said, like the Quran teaches Arab nationalism, and we know
Absolutely.
Christianity teaches white nationalism. Let's not pretend
Hmm.
now. I mean, it is what
Because
it
we
is.
don't
And if
have
you,
it. I'm sorry,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
brother. No, and if you're teaching some other form of nationalism, it's going to clash with black nationalism every time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, what happens with us, I think it's the identity factor that hinders us, that makes us, like I said, we allow religion to be all consuming. I can speak from the Islamic perspective because I've walked that and traveled that path. That so speaking from Islam, for example, the Arabs probably are the minority Islamic population. I think the largest Islamic population is Indonesia.
Yeah, but what I'm
And
talking about is the speaking Arabic part. So
right,
if
right, right.
God speaks
So,
Arabic, yeah, that I
well,
have a problem with that.
I mean, yeah, yeah. If God, I mean, but like I said, I feel like that's someone's personal choice. Your personal choice is to have a problem with it. Someone's
Right.
choice is if their God speaks Arabic. Why I consider that Arab nationalism for Black people is because we haven't learned to politicize it
Uh-huh.
or to use it as a social instrument for our betterment yet, while every other nation has. See, like I said, the largest Islamic population is Indonesia, but they've taken their Islam and somehow learned to, in whatever little country that, learn to culturally modify it and learn to use it as a political instrument. We could, but we don't have an identity. One of the benefits of Islam having the common language and sharing the Arabic language for people who have an identity now, mind you, I say this for people who have an identity, is if I was in China and I can't speak any Chinese and I'm
Right.
looking around and then I hear the muezzin holler out, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Every Muslim in China or wherever you're at that you don't speak that native language, that local language, is going to be able to respond to that. And that gives you a focal point. It gives you to the masjid. And I may not speak the native language, but I know enough. The religion gives you enough cohesiveness under that to be able to maneuver. We go to Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam. Peace be upon you, peace. So I'm in peace, man. And then you from there you can do sign language. I can put my hand to my mouth, hungry. Allah, hold your hand or something like that. On a political sense, our problem is since we don't have any identity, when we embrace it, we become the damn Arab.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It isn't just an instrument; it becomes our who we are. We begin to dress like Arabs of 1475 years ago. We
Hmm.
begin to try to take on the customs and the cultures of prehistoric Arabs, and we and then begin to try to treat our women, black women, mind you,
Right.
black women,
Mm,
shit, modern black women. You begin to try to mold them and put them in a prehistoric Arab woman. That's not gonna work. And we wonder why, or the Muslims wonder why they have high divorce rates in their community. Nobody's being you
right.
give up your chicken and your greens, start eating couscous with your fingers. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I mean, you just not only we can't just take a spiritual aspect if that's what you're using it for. We just get all consumed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why, to me, at particular times, religion is very dangerous. And I know this emphatically. It cannot be the guiding factor in our unity, in our liberation movement, in our
Right.
cohesiveness, in none of
Fair
that,
enough. Fair
in
enough.
our
Fair enough.
government, any of that. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah,
Yeah. I'm with
yeah.
that. I'm with that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
as a
yeah.
black nationalist, I wouldn't tolerate that. I would
Right.
fight against Muslims, Voodoonians, anybody who begin to want to be governed by the objective, superstition, the supernatural, spooky voices, or forces beyond our control.
Right. There's no checks and balances. Right.
Right? No checks and balances.
That's
Absolutely.
common sense. Yeah. Hmm. Checks and balances.
So,
Right. So, um,
yeah.
yeah.
So I'm gonna read a little bit more
Also,
of.
to say,
Oh no, I'm
oh,
sorry.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh yeah. Let's get
No, go ahead, brother. What was you
no,
about
no.
to say?
Let's get started. Shoot, I'm excited,
Yeah.
brother. No,
Okay.
I'm excited. Let's get started. Let's get started. Yeah.
Right on. So Dr. Muhammad goes on to further say, in the history of revolutions, part of the social process has been the production of ideas. These ideas combined into a rational body of thought constitute ideology. Revolutionary ideology is the scientific application of ideas derived from experiences of revolutionaries impacting upon the development of other revolutionaries. We can stop there and build on that. I don't know if we caught that. It says revolutionary ideology, this black nationalist ideology, this what Son and I are bringing. Revolutionary ideology is what? The scientific application of ideas derived from where? Experiences of revolutionaries impacting upon the development of other revolutionaries, leaving behind a revolutionary legacy. None of that talked about spookism. It talked about a scientific application of your ideas. Now, the only thing spooky at that particular time is ideas. We talked about what ideology was. Ideology was speculation, it was theories. So,
Right.
but we take a scientific application to our theory, derived from what? The experiences of other revolutionaries, impacting upon the development, um, leaving behind a revolutionary legacy. So, we have these theories. The revolutionary has these theories, and we take scientific application from the sources we pull from. So that's why I'm always talking about recreating the wheel, or from the sources. I'm sorry, not the sources we pull from derived from the previous experiences of revolutionaries. This is why I'm always talking about recreating the wheel. What this says here is you may think you have a fantastic idea, and it might quite possibly be a fantastic idea. But have you applied a scientific application, a practical application, a modern application to it based on the experiences of your predecessors, revolutionaries who came before you? Why do some shit that we already have historical proof has failed? You know, papa. What my boy said? Brrr. Who's that dude that does? Brrr?
Oh, that's the one who called you. You trying to be pretty? That was Judah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
brrr. I'm
Judah
gonna take
Dagger.
Judah. Judah stuff. Brrr. Brrr. Shout at you, religions. Brrr. I
Yeah, he's a
like that.
character. He's a
Shot, yeah,
character.
he is. Shot at your religions, man. For It says that the revolutionary ideology is a scientific application of ideas derived from experience of revolutionaries, impacted upon the development of other revolutionaries, leaving behind a revolutionary legacy. To reiterate, it is revolutionary theory, revolutionary speculation. We believe this would work, taking a scientific application based on a scientific mean practical, modern. We're not taking classical black nationalism and trying to apply that to this day. That is not scientific. Based on, but what we will do is take a scientific application, our relative forces, the things we have at our disposal, what's really going on right now, social media. We can't take exactly what Marcus Messiah Garvey did or Malcolm X did, exactly the way they do it. We have a new factor we can factor in: social media.
Right.
Which is just a thing. It isn't necessarily. This is why we don't do religion, because it isn't necessarily evil. It isn't necessarily good. It's just a tool. If you get into religion, oh, social media evil. I hate to do that. See, we don't get into all that. Scientific. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Scientific application.
Right.
What? Based on
Right.
what
It has to
Malcolm did.
steadily evolve. Yeah.
It has to steadily evolve. Based off, and the evolution is based off what preceded us. This is
Yeah.
why we say these religions are foolish. Nation Islam, it didn't work for Elijah Muhammad. Hebrews, it didn't work for Moses. Muslims, it didn't work for Muhammad. Why are you not evolving? Why are you still holding objective forces to be the guiding, motivating factor in your freedom? And you don't take the scientific application and subjective forces, the things you can change, the things you can control, with a understanding that objective forces may come along. You may have a tornado, you may have an earthquake, but we don't sit around and pray for it, then start the revolution. When that earthquake come, we gonna snap. Let's all do the earthquake dance. Let's all do a mighty rain dance and flood the world out. We don't do that. You know. All right. Revolutions are social upheavals that radically transform society, bringing one class to power, replacing another class. Pardon me, I did. Um, Revolutionary ideology is produced by people who seek to create a revolution. Revolutionary ideology is produced by people who seek to create a revolution. Ideology is the systematic, scientific, cultural, economic, political, social, and moral values of a people. I think I'm going to read that again. Ideology is the systematic, scientific, cultural, economic, political, social, and moral values of a people. Ideology is a collection of the system's view, which are historically evolved by definite, definite social groups in definite stages of social development, and which vary according to their origin. Ideology is essentially social rather than an individual product. Did we hear that? Ideology is social rather than an individual product. Most of your religions are individual products. Most of your religions are not ideologies because they are individual product. They are by an inspired, informed, gifted, blessed, enlightened man who wrote these words. Where here, Dr. Ahmad Muhammad is telling us ideology is essentially social, meaning that the people, based on the very real living conditions, start to form an idea and theory of how it should be, to make it better, or how a better living, a better society for them, a more productive or conducive living condition looks like for them. This is where ideology is birthed out of. Very real social interaction and very real phenomena, not some inspired individual. In dealing with the development of ideology, we are dealing with the development of ideas. In the course of social development, there is change and development of ideology. One ideology replaces another. In the same society, different and rival ideologies intercept and clash with one another. Such is the case now with the ideological war going on between bourgeoisie, reactionary right-wing nationalism, and integrationist reformists, and the motion for an advanced democratic program, and also the world between capitalism and democratic socialism. So, Doctor is talking about all of these ideological conflicts and clashes. Ideology has no independent development. Just as there is no such thing as art for art's sake or culture for culture's sake, all art, culture, and ideology represent political tendency dependent upon the development of the material conditions of social life. I am going to read that a little bit slower because I want us to process that. All art, culture, and ideology represent political tendency dependent upon the development of the material conditions of social life. Your art is reflective of the political tendency. What did Deputy Chairman Fred Ham say to us? He said, "Politics is everything, and everything is politics." When we talk revolutionary politics, we're talking about your day-to-day activities. We're not talking about the Democrats or the Republic. We're talking about your day-to-day activity. So, um, yeah, I'm sorry, I got thrown. So we're talking about your day-to-day activities, not the Democrats or the Republic. So we're talking about art, culture, and ideology represent the political tendency depending upon the development of the material conditions. What are the material conditions? What are the material conditions? The tangible things that affect you. Those are material conditions, the tangible things that affect you. You remember we say art is reflective. We wonder why the music reflects, our development.
Food.
Culture reflects our development. Food. There you go, brother.
Yeah, food. Yeah.
And so our ideology is birthed out of that as well. It says the difficulty experienced by the black working class in becoming aware of international, national, and class interests is increased by the corrupting influence of the Anglo-American capitalist class ideology and the propaganda the Anglo-American capitalist class conducts with the definite aim of misleading the black working class. Basically, what the doctor is talking about here is the Anglo-American propaganda aimed at the black working class is the illusion of inclusion. This is why we can't see ourselves. It says it's hard for us to become aware of the international, national class interest because of this corrupting influence. The illusion of inclusion tempts us, entices us to yield all representative power. We yield control of our image. We yield our political power. We yield every ounce of independence internationally. Nationally, we see it from how they exploit us economically, how we don't have anything. We see it in our relation to the mode of production, which means we don't have shit, anything. Excuse my language. Internationally, we see it because the black people in America are not asked independently what are our stances on particular foreign policies. That we're not asked what our stances are on particular foreign policies. So, give me when. Pardon, give me 1 minute. All right. So we're just mingled into American politics. They just assume as America goes, black people go. Everything is political. The development of national, international, and class conscience among the black working class can come through day-to-day struggle for immediate interests. But that alone is not enough. For the black working class to reach a high level of national, international, and class consciousness, a special ideological form of struggle is needed. The ideological struggle of the black working class involves, above all, the working out of the African American socialist outlook, a scientific theory that uses revolutionary tactics, which will show the black working class a path to liberation and power. Now, like I said, this is one of my mentors, one of my teachers, but I don't idol worship anyone. And this is why I love having this read. This is a discussion. If you have something that you want to add to it, if you disagree with it, put it in the chat, jump on the channel, and we can discuss it. Let's see what you propose. This is the beauty of what we're out here doing, black nationalism. Like they said, it is an ideology, it's a theory based on scientific application. So you can bring your theory. Let's put a scientific application and derive uh, truths or the practicality of it or the likelihood of success of it from our predecessors. We're open for that.
Well, I got one.
Talk to me.
Well, if we just obey the laws and statutes of the Most High, then everything will be okay.
Right, right. I think, you know what, let's discuss that for a minute, man, because
Let's
I'm
discuss
one
it.
of those people who talk about, I think that a lot of that is escapism. And that's how,
Oh,
and that's a,
okay.
yeah, that's a topic in itself because it's so much easier. Just that's that and non-participation. I'm gonna throw that out there. Let's if we just don't do anything. I think it's so much easier uh to come up with these I don't know a nice way to say. I call them fanciful solutions.
Right.
If we just all obey the law, if we taking it out of subjective power. I am big on the power of the people. I am big
Right.
on you, black people, having the power to determine your destiny.
And see, that's why black nationalism and the churchy won't work because the churchy will say every time, leave it in the hands of God, leave it in the hands of Most High, leave it in the hands of Allah, leave
Right.
it in the hands of everybody but yourself there.
But
So,
yourself. But
mhm,
yourself. Never taking the initiative to kick it to the next level.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Being accountable.
Yeah.
you know and that's at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. That's why people run from
Facts.
this, because this is about nation building, this is about accountability, this is about the sweat of your brow,
Yeah.
your elbow grease, and
That's
nobody wants to
facts.
put that in. the
Mm,
the church at one particular time, the solve of the church, the band-aid of the church, I will honestly say, went to aid and assist us. But even then we learned to turn some of it to revolutionary. When we were talking about wade in the water, we were talking about throwing the trail of the dogs off of it. When we were
right.
singing swing low sweet chariot coming forth to carry me home, we were talking about freedom runners, or those people, those not just Mother Harriet, but other slaves that would come and get their people, or people running away.
Yeah.
Swing low sweet chariot, they coming through tonight. So at one point in time, we hid. It was very revolutionary. It was very practical. I will even go back to say, even with Nat Turner, who interpreted very revolutionary. But we also see with much respect to Nat Turner, we also see the folly of overinterpretations. Because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Nat Turner was fighting his way to a Jerusalem.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So sometimes a little interpretation of it in this day and time, all times a little interpretation of it is not. I don't feel like it's going to be beneficial for us.
Right.
Now in this age of modernity, in this age of science, Not that to me, because like I said, I'm a spiritualist. Not that science replaces spiritualism, but in this age of enlightenment, of just technological marvel, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I
That
should
type
hope
of
not. It should replace it because you got two different mindsets. I wouldn't want science to intrude on your personal belief, and I definitely don't want your personal belief to intrude on science. So yeah, these are two different. No, we
yep.
is it always black people that want to intermingle the two? Because I don't even see why the two would even intermingle. I don't want chopped up apples in my spaghetti.
I think that black people really do try to reconcile the two.
Right.
You know, I've seen them try to reconcile the two. I think that you know, and that's been one of the problems. We really
That is a
still hold
problem.
to a lot of we still hold to a lot of superstition. We still hold to a lot of we are a cultural people, so a lot of us want to hold to that religion just because it's familiar and it is an attachment to family and things of that nature. So it's hard for them to divorce themselves from some type of religion. So the only thing they do is get radical. They go from being Christian to Black Hebrew, and they got all the little
Yeah,
ways that they, uh,
well, yeah, brother, but I'm a little confused by the scientific application with spiritual application
um, well,
because,
maybe
like you
not
said,
those particular, yeah, maybe not uh them, but I've run across Muslims who have scientifically tried to they have shown. I have seen the Big Bang Theory in the Quran. I have
Mhm.
seen life in the Quran. There are ayats that are verses in the Quran that substantiate uh, the formation of life, the gestational periods in life. I have seen that in the Quran. I have seen, so I've seen this. I've seen where in the Quran it says life has come from water and the separating of this and that. So I've seen the effort. I will say I've really seen the effort to make a reconciliation. And,
Mm.
you know, yeah, I've really seen that effort. Where I can appreciate that, it's still to me, even if you reconciled it all with science and if you could somehow justify science being in the Quran, there's still too
Mhm.
many things that lead to division.
Yeah,
The Arab nationalism is still too great. You know what I'm saying? So,
right. Because when you're
yeah,
dealing with belief, you're finagling one's independent thought compared to
absolutely.
another person's independent thought. And when these two independent
Hmm.
thoughts don't align, you can look at the same scripture and y'all can both read the same exact scripture and get different interpretations, two different meanings off of it. And then even if you don't, there's still, I mean, thoughts are different.
Yeah,
Thoughts are just different. I mean, that's just
and that's the
nature.
danger of it. And that's the danger.
Hmm.
Can you imagine being under a theocracy and you guys and everybody's trying to, you're under this theocracy and you're trying to um, come to a conclusion or some type of decision based on these ancient writings.
Right.
And you're
Yeah.
talking about belief, and you're going to have these different beliefs. And then imagine if someone comes up, or three people come and say, "Well, God told me this, and God told me that, and God told me."
Right.
It's too much. This is
It is
why
too much.
every so-called religious, even this is why I see only two. I'm gonna be honest, man. Only Negroes advocate of theocracy.
Right. Well, I
Only
won't
black
say they're
people
the only
advocate it.
ones, but
Where else do you see a real working theocracy? I will
well,
show
working the
you.
oh no, I don't
Yeah,
think a working
I
theocracy.
will show you if they say, well, the Islamic Republic of Iran. I will say, yeah, they have a Ayatollah and they have a parliament, they have a president.
Right.
Israel. No, they have political parties. They have a parliament. They have a prime minister.
Hmm.
Saudi Arabia, one of the corruptest damn places on the planet Earth.
Right.
No, 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 afraid not. They have a monarchy. So I would
Yeah.
like to know where, in the one place they thought they were gonna have a working theocracy called Afghanistan,
Hmm.
we see what that looked like. America had to intervene.
Oh yeah.
They were knocking women upside the head because their face veil slipped off. You ever seen they? What
Right.
did they call those people? I used to know their names. They are the religious, the Mutawa.
Tell okay.
That's what they call them. The Mutawa, the religious police. They the ones running around with them bamboo poles,
Oh yeah.
and they don't no respect of person. They'll hit your wife upside the head.
Right. Right. Oh
You be
yeah.
walking with
Yep.
your wife in the market and knock the hell out of your wife if her veil slips. Wow,
Right.
the Mutawa.
Oh damn.
Yeah, yeah,
Tell him,
they'll
Daniel.
knock you
Tell him.
out.
Tell him. Tell him, man. Tell him.
You know what I'm
Shit.
saying? No, no, they run around that Batman with the bat and will whip the hell out of you. The Mutawa, yeah, they don't play that.
Hmm.
Shit. They don't play that. I had a brother, man. My brother, shout out to Abdelaziz, man. Was over, went over there. He was from the early man, not the early man. He was a Talib. Excuse me, man. I know I didn't put that on. He was a Talib. He was a student. A student, Talib M is what they call him. He was a student of the early man. And he was afforded to go to the Hajj. He went to Saudi Arabia, and he stayed over there. And he tickled me with the stories. And so while he was over there, and sometimes if we FaceTime, if they called the prayer, those cats over there would just turn out the lights in the gym. They
Right.
don't go to prayer. They just turn out the
Right.
lights in the gym because the religious police will walk
Oh
through.
yeah.
It's,
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. So there's nowhere in the world that there is a working theocracy. I honestly believe black Africans here in America are, if other people want it, or we'd probably have to be the most vocal about it though.
Right.
We have to be, because places where they try to establish that, it inevitably goes into where they have to implement some form of people participation, some form of people representation in the government.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
So
I
yeah,
do.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It ain't no place in the world that a theocracy is thriving like that.
No. No.
Absolutely
Not
not.
at all.
So
Absolutely not.
yeah, so now we have to. I think that we have to build. We can just start by building practically. If we just begin to slowly just be realistic about our situation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If we just would just be realistic about our situation, I think that uh, will propel us leaps and bounds. We willfully go to sleep. Like you're talking about, son, we eat the worst foods. We have the worst
Hmm.
social practices, the worst health practices, the worst spending practices. And all of that is just simply because we're impulsive. You know,
Right.
yep. And a
But
little
we are.
discipline.
But in our defense, we are being bombarded without even realizing it.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
if you just one day if you're driving down the street, count how many McDonald's and Burger King billboards you see, or anything about food,
Hmm.
cheeseburgers. Yeah, you'll see it, brother.
Oh
You'll
man,
see,
absolutely.
yeah, we're being bombarded.
Absolutely.
So I won't put the. I mean, yeah, we have to show some restraint, but you got to understand too. They're not targeting me and you. They're targeting our kids.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. And that's, like you said, that's where the structure comes in. That's where the fight is.
Yeah.
But we have to temper their impulsiveness. And it's not always easy. I have a 13-year-old man. You know what I'm saying? So he can date the children can wear you down. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's us that are aware that we're at war, that our children are primarily being targeted.
Hmm.
So we have to step up, man, and just do the hard thing. I think sometimes when we say we're at war, I don't know if we really just like
Understand.
grasp the magnitude of that, right? You know what I'm saying? I don't think we really grasp the magnitude of that and how it comes at every angle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Yes, sir.
yeah. Well, listen, brother, I didn't hit my hour mark, man. I just wanted to jump on here for a minute just to put something on the station,
That's
you
what's up.
know. And may jump back on. I don't know if tonight, a little later. Have you heard from Nundy?
Yeah, she called. She was asking about your phone, and she was trying to get a
Jacked.
hold of you. Yeah, 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 yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I told her to come to your show. Shit,
Yeah, yeah.
come to the show. I don't know if she put the little bell notification. I'm sure she did, but she might be sleeping. But I told her, yeah, just come to the show tonight, and yeah, Yang will be there. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So,
guess we
well, I
might
may jump.
eventually.
Yeah,
We might, yeah,
I
jump
may
on her
jump on
show
a
if
little
she does
later
one.
tonight. Yeah, if she jumps on, I may pop up on her thing. You know how I do till I get my phone
Right.
fixed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right.
So
Yeah.
we'll jump up there. All right, brother. Like always, man. I appreciate you riding with your brother, man.
For sure, man.
You
Always,
know,
brother. Yeah.
always. So everybody, man, I appreciate you subscribing, hit the like, yada yada. Put the word out. I know it was a little heavy today. I just want to put some content out here. You know, next day it may be a little lighter or whatever. But definitely put the word out. Also, subscribe and hit like for Sister Nandy, 3GP, Queen Nandy, and check her out when she jumps on. With that, I'm going to leave you as I greet you, which is all powers to oppressed people, African power to an African people, and Black power.
Like, wow, brother.
Black power.